Hello and welcome to Inside the Americas. I'm Rochelle Harrison-Pless. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, don't cross us or there'll be hell to pay. The US delivers a stark warning to Iran with a heated back and forth dominating the UN General Assembly. From America's dad to convicted sex offender, TV star and comedian Bill Cosby is thrown behind bars for 3 to 10 years for sexual assault. And with the US midterm elections getting closer, we take a look at some of the controversial campaign advertisements doing the rounds this voting season. We start the show with our image of the week. US leader Donald Trump speaking at the UN General Assembly. Making headlines for a blazing row played out on the global diplomatic stage with the US and Iran firing shots in a tit-for-tat war of words. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani slamming Washington for its, quote, bullying after Donald Trump accused Tehran of sowing chaos, death and destruction. Dialogue between the two countries has broken down since the US pulled out of the Iran nuclear deal.
A highly anticipated clash in New York. Donald Trump kicked off the war of words just after arriving, defending his administration's drive to isolate Iran from the international community.
Iran has acted very badly. We are doing many things right now, including sanctions at a very massive level, one of the highest levels we've ever done. Iran has to change its tune before I meet with them.
Relations between Washington and Tehran have deteriorated since the U.S. restored sanctions this summer. Against that backdrop, the country's leaders exchanged unusually violent blows at the UN. Trump followed up on his promise not to meet with Rouhani, and when the latter took to the podium, he accused the U.S. of wanting to overthrow his country's government and of undermining international institutions. He also rejected the prospect of one-on-one talks.
Beginning dialogue starts with ending threats and unjust sanctions that negate the principles of ethics and international law.
The U.S. president could find himself isolated. Several permanent members of the UN Security Council have already criticized his pressure campaign against Iran, and even more so ever since he pulled the U.S. out of the 2015 Iranian nuclear accord.
Next, the countdown is on to that high-stakes testimony against US Supreme Court nominee Brett Kavanaugh. Christine Blasey Ford, one of 2 women who's accused the judge of sexual assault, will testify to the Senate Judiciary Committee on Thursday. The standoff continues with Donald Trump doubling down on his support for Kavanaugh, the US leader casting doubt on the latest allegations. American comedian Bill Cosby has been sent to prison for 3 to 10 years for sexual assault. Once dubbed America's dad for his popular role on The Cosby Show sitcom, the TV star drugged and sexually assaulted a woman at his Philadelphia home in 2004. The 81-year-old is embroiled in similar accusations from more than 60 women, many dating back several decades. Cole Stangler reports.
Mr. Cosby, any comments, sir?
From a beloved cultural icon to a sexual predator in handcuffs, Tuesday's sentence completed the remarkable downfall of the 81-year-old comedian and TV star once known as America's dad for his role on The Cosby Show. Cosby will begin his time behind bars at a maximum security state prison near the site of the trial. Officials there will then determine where he serves his 3-year sentence. Prosecutors hailed the news as a victory.
He used his acting skills and that endearing TV personality to win over his victims and then keep them silent about what he did to them. So now finally, Bill Cosby has been unmasked, and we have seen the real man as he is headed off to prison.
Victim Andrea Constand also celebrated the ruling and could be seen embracing in the hallway outside the courtroom. Others who have accused Cosby of sexual assault spoke at a press conference.
He did not care how old I was. I was young and innocent, only 17 years old. Why should he receive mercy just because he is 81?
More than 60 women have accused Cosby of sexual misconduct, but only one of those cases had not surpassed the statute of limitations. A lawyer representing accusers highlighted that fact.
We're glad the Judgment Day has finally come for Mr. Cosby. Mr. Cosby has shown no remorse, and there has been no justice for many of the accusers who were barred from a court by the arbitrary time limits imposed by the statute of limitations.
Showing no visible remorse, Cosby declined to speak before the sentence came down.
Let's take a look at our number of the week now. Actually, two figures for the number of seats up for grabs in the US midterm elections. In the Senate, just 35 out of 100 seats are for the taking, and all of the 435 seats in the lower House of Representatives will be contested. Well, that crucial ballot is just around the corner, and as we count down to November the 6th, we're casting an eye over some of the most controversial and sometimes ridiculous advertising that's popped up this election season. For that, France 24 journalist Julia Seeger joins me on set. Hi, Julia. Good to see you. We're used to seeing these campaign ads that are mainly used to raise funds during elections, but this year we're witnessing a new trend.
That's right. Many newcomers in politics have decided to use these ads to gain popularity. And as you'll see, they're ready to do pretty much anything to gain public attention. Let's take the example of Levi Tillman. He's a Democrat who was running for Colorado's 6th congressional district. Now, he's opposed to arming teachers, and he believes that pepper spray is enough to protect children in schools in the event of a school shooting. Now, to prove his point and to show just how serious he is about gun control, he decided to pepper spray himself in the face in his own campaign ad. And this is what it looks like.
This will stop anyone in their tracks. It's incredibly painful, and now I just can't see anything.
And that does look very painful indeed. Yes, now, other videos have gotten attention as well during this midterm campaign. Most Democrats are focusing on the fact that there's a need for a more robust healthcare system, while GOP candidates are showing closeness to Trump. Now, it's the case in this video by a Republican candidate, Ron DeSantis from Florida, who's teaching his kid how to build Donald Trump's wall, and who's also reading Donald Trump's book as a bedtime story to his kid. So it's a very awkward angle, I guess. It's very difficult for French people in general to understand this American tradition of political campaign ads where these candidates almost sell themselves. It's even more stunning to us, perhaps, the use of gun in those ads. Although it is important to say that during this midterm campaign, there were much more pro-gun control spots. But it's almost become natural, normal to have guns in political ads. And this year, Republican candidate for governor in Georgia, Brian Kemp, actually sparked controversy for handling a shotgun while talking to a young boy who wanted to date his daughter.
Wow. Okay. Well, some ads went viral because candidates really managed to open up to the public using documentary-style storytelling.
Absolutely. A beautiful video, very inspiring video by MJ Hagar. And she's a mother and a combat veteran who is running in Texas. And the entire video is a metaphor between all the struggles she went through when she was in the Army, but also when she wanted to enter politics. So let's just take a look.
This is a story about doors. A lot of them. And that's me, MJ Hagar, an Air Force combat veteran and a mom. This door behind me is from my Pavehawk helicopter. It's all that's left of the aircraft that I was flying that day. I was on a rescue mission in Afghanistan as a combat search and rescue pilot. I heard the windshield crack and realized I'd been shot. But I continued the mission and airlifted the patients out. After taking even more fire, we crashed a few miles away. But my story begins much earlier. One of my first memories was of a door, but it was my dad throwing my mom through a glass wall. 3 years later, Mom got the courage to walk out the door, and she opened a new one for my sister and me here in Texas.
So as you can see, the pictures are absolutely beautiful. The tone is very different from what we've seen before, and the message is very clear and poetic. The video has been seen more than 5 million times on YouTube, and the number keeps on climbing. So it does prove that viral videos like this one can also help.
No wonder it's gone viral. The concept seems really, really refreshing. Well, last but not least, Julia, political attack ads can be vicious, but the jabs don't normally come from the candidate's own family.
That's right. Normally they don't, but it actually did happen for Arizona Republican Paul Gosar. 6 out of 9 of his siblings turned their back on him and appeared in the ad of his Democratic opponent. And you can see them one after the other criticizing their brother, saying how bad of a candidate he is, how bad of a person he is, and now it's all about saving the family's honor. So you can just imagine, how crushed the mother must be, and we can just also imagine how dinners at their house are going to be pretty tense. So what can we conclude about all of this? Well, perhaps that viral videos are here and are starting to replace pricey political ads. They're less expensive, but as we can see, sometimes they can help.
Well, that last ad certainly makes you rethink the saying, blood is thicker than water. Apparently not the case for the Gosar family. Julia Seeger, thank you very much for that. Thank you. And it's a breakthrough for people with paralysis. 2 paralysed patients taking part in an experimental rehab program have been able to walk again. 2 others have been able to stand or sit. That's according to newly published results in the New England Journal of Medicine. The milestone is due to electrical stimulation of their spinal cords. While the stimulator and its mechanisms are not yet fully understood, it means that the spinal cord can be retrained to function despite injury disconnecting it from the brain. Well, that's it for this edition of Inside the Americas. Catch up with all of our shows on our website, France24.com. Hope you can join us again next week. In the meantime, stay with us here on France 24. Lots more news coming up.
From the Greek-Albanian border to the Adriatic Sea, the Vjosa River flows freely. While more than 30,000 dams have been built in Europe, the Vjosa remains untouched. It's one of the continent's last wild rivers.
If they build a dam down in Kalivac, this will be under 40 meters of water.
Entire villages, fields, the economy will be destroyed. It's a complete disaster.
Down to earth on France 24 and France24.com.